against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. Watch out now. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good.
Wake up. Yep, it's that time again. Vape AM brought to you by vapers1.com. I'm your host, Anthony Ramella. Good morning, guys. Wednesday, hump day. We're getting it through, making it happen. If you've never been on the show before, we do pretty much the same thing every day. A little history, a little birthdays, a little wake and vape news. Just something to kind of get your mind running, to kind of get you thinking about what's going on in our industry, what's going on with vaping, what's going on with cigarettes, what's going on with all that kind of stuff. So let's start off with some birthdays today. I would say I've got some pretty decent ones today. Ludacris's birthday is today, so happy birthday, Ludacris, blueberry yum yum and all that good stuff. So I'm sure he's having a heck of a birthday today. Harry Connick Jr.'s birthday is today, if those of you that don't know who he is. Really fantastic piano player and musician. I believe he also has like a TV show during the day as well. I'm not a fan of that, but am a fan of his music. Moby's birthday is today. This has just seemed like it was a whole day of musicians' birthdays. And last, we've got Chris Brown, the veterinarian's birthday is today. So not the Chris Brown you were thinking of, but I saw that name on there. I don't know what makes Chris Brown, the veterinarian, famous. Maybe somebody in the comments can tell me. But it was just another name on there. I just thought that was kind of funny because of all the musicians I had today. So a little trickery this morning. Anyway, I need your help. If we want to get this out to the masses, we need more people to know about this show. And the best way to make that happen is for you guys to like or dislike, whatever you prefer. Subscribe and then comment on my video. So like, subscribe, comment. Pretty easy, take you a few seconds. This really helps YouTube's algorithms to kind of put us in the forefront of getting this news out there. And I really feel like it's important because we need to have some positive vaping stories that show up when somebody types vaping into YouTube. So just a little bit there that you could do to help me out. All right, well, as most of you probably know, I do shows on multiple networks, so there's always other places to find me. I do a live show every Saturday morning on the NVR network. I do show up on Texas Cloud Town's channel on a regular basis. I'm in a lot of the other chats too, so if you want me, you can find me. I'm out there. But definitely check out the NVR network on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. We do a good morning over there, and it lasts sometimes 2.5 hours, so we really kind of dive deep into some of these vaping topics, and it is a live show, so you can get on the chat. You can even call into that show. So if you really want to get some questions answered, catch me over on the NVR network. All right, guys, well, let's get into some history, and Wake and Vape news are kind of going to join today because today is 9/11. I can't believe there's probably anyone in our country that doesn't understand the significance of this day, and there was just some things today that I wanted to talk about to put some perspective on our industry and about terrorism and things of that nature. Now, this is kind of a solemn day for us because of the attack that happened, and I went through and did a little bit of research about this because I wanted to get some information because this impacted our country pretty severely. I would believe most of the people that are out there watching that are of age can remember exactly where they were when they found out about this. I was in a used car selling seminar when this happened, so it's been some time ago, back in the days when I was in the car industry, and I'm sure a lot of you remember where you were at the time. So one of the questions that I wanted to look at when I was going into 9/11 history was the actual casualties with this. And you'll kind of understand once I kind of get through this. I'm going to read a little bit this morning because I did make myself some notes. The attacks killed 2,996 people and injured over 6,000 others and caused at least $10 billion in infrastructure and property damage. Why this is important. That 2,996 people that died on that day, cigarettes kill more people than that every 3 days. I just want you guys to think about that. People don't understand that this is a serious thing, and all of you that, including myself, that were just totally stricken with that. This product that you can buy in any convenience store, you can buy in just about any gas station, any grocery store, is killing more people than they did every 3 days. Every 3 days. I wrote myself a note here that says, what part of this thing with vaping is an epidemic emergency when something like this is going on every day? In fact, the average commercial airliner carries less than 300 people. Okay, so if you think about this logically, 4 planes could fall out of the sky every day, 365 days a year, and it still wouldn't kill as many people as combustible cigarette products do just in the United States alone. That's really something to think about. How many of you would still fly planes if 4 fell out of the sky every day? Probably none of you. Why are we continuing to let this thing, which is probably the easiest thing to stop all of these deaths to continue, while we let politicians, these little groups, the media, and everybody else demonize our industry for trying to reduce this particular situation? Yes, I understand there are young people that are using this product, but they aren't dying. And, you know, cigarette deaths are very, very avoidable. They really are. And this is close to my heart because I just don't think a lot of people sit there and think about really the ramifications of this. A lot of people talk about these numbers and they just become kind of like one of the little ragey things that we want to talk about. When we start putting this and can start comparing it to other things in our life, you can really see how detrimental that combustible products really are. This is one of those things that I want to encourage you guys to fight along with me, because this is how important I feel it is. I'm just taking a look here because I'd made myself some other notes and I just don't want to miss anything that I had written down here. This is, and when I say this, I don't want you guys to go off the deep end about it, but it's just something that made me think when I was, writing this down, and I wanted to kind of share it with you. It says, when are we going to wake up and see that cigarettes are a terrorist-style chemical weapon for population control used by greedy capitalists? That's really what I think. I think that there is no other weapon out there, no other chemical weapon, no other thing that has caused this much damage across the entire earth, let alone just in our little part of the United States. And I think every day we need to pull that spotlight back on the real evil and stop putting it on something that is really just out there for harm reduction that really hasn't killed anyone. So banning e-cigarettes is like banning medical practices to bolster the accounts of leech salesmen. And that's kind of where I'm going to leave you guys today. Technology advances, things become safer, and just because it's change and it's scary doesn't mean that it's wrong. All right, it's a crazy world out there, and hopefully I can bring some sanity to that and kind of give you guys something to think about throughout the day. But just think about those numbers and let it kind of sink in. And when you're talking to people today and reminiscing about that, it's just a little bit of information that you can pass along to try and encourage somebody to stop smoking and understand that vaping is a real alternative to, or healthier alternative to that. I love you guys. I don't want to bring you down every day. I promise the rest of the week will be a little bit upbeat, but this is kind of a solemn day for us, and I think it should continue to kind of remind us that, people dying every day, if we can avoid that, we definitely should. All right? I love you guys. I can't wait to do another show tomorrow, and that means the show's over. So that means I'm going to see you tomorrow.
2001, we had a player that played on our team, Sergio Villanueva. He wore our number 10. He played in the center midfield. He was Argentinian, tremendous soccer player, but just a tremendous person. He spent 8 years as a police officer, served as an undercover detective, took guns and narcotics off the street, transferred over to the fire department, and on the morning of September 11th, Sergio responded here with his company. They operated in the South Tower here, rescuing thousands of people until the building came down, and Sergio and his entire company were lost in the collapse. He was never found, nor was anybody in his company. We were devastated after 9/11, but this game, which has been so good to us, helped us to come back, and we were able to, out of this horrific day, try and do a lot of good for other people, and we started a foundation in Sergio's name. Since that day, we've given hundreds of thousands of dollars to students that are soccer players in high school and college that are getting an education. We've run soccer clinics for kids all over the world. I'm sure if he was here today, he'd be in the stadium every week cheering you guys on. So I want to thank you for coming here today. We're one team, the fire and the police. We're one team. We play, we compete, but we're all here serving the citizens of this city. And you know what? You're New York's team, and we're New York's team, and having us all together here a couple of days before 9/11 really means a lot to us.
I just want to thank you guys for showing up, making this a special event for us. It shows us that people still remember. that's a long time ago. It's almost 18 years ago. And for us, you know, people die and they soon get forgotten. But things like events like this keep us going.
Well, it's very important for us to be here together as a team. We've been down here individually with family and paid our respects in different ways over the years, but it was for all of us collectively, staff, players, to be here is very important for us as a club. We represent New York City. This gives all of us a little perspective and you know, take a step back and realize, you know, who we get to represent while we just play a sport. You know, get to see, you know, FDNY and NYPD and how this event touched their lives, and you know, we just want to honor them as a club and represent everything that New York is.
I'm a survivor of 9/11. I was under the South Tower when it came down, and I was one of the very few who got out. The numbers are nearly 3,000 innocent human beings were murdered on September 11, 2001 at this spot. And I said innocent human beings because a lot of times people will say Americans, but that wouldn't be accurate because they were mostly Americans, but there were people from 90 countries. So when you think about this, it's like I think about this every day. It was an attack on humanity. Nearly about 421 first responders all did the same thing. The New York City firefighters, New York City police officers, the Port Authority police officers, and EMTs and paramedics, they all did the same thing, like this. They stepped forward, they put their hand up, they said, I will. I saw my friend Chris Blackwell, I saw my friend Terry Hatton, I saw my friend Patty Brown. I saw a group of 6 emergency service cops who I talked with in the South Tower before they were the first ones to go up the stairs in the South Tower after the second plane. They all knew it. Terry, my best friend Terry said, he squeezed me to his chest and he kissed me right here on the cheek. And he said, I love you, brother. I may never see you again. He knew it. He still went in the stairwell and went up with his men. And none of them came back. Sergio was one of those people, and what a beautiful, wonderful human being he was. Argentinian, American, and his birthday was July 4th. And he figured every year they were setting off all those fireworks for him because he was so proud to be an American. So that's our guy. Take Sergio on the field with you next Wednesday. Keep him in your heart. He ran like the wind, that guy, so run like the wind with him and win that game on the 11th.
The first thing that just comes to mind is you have to be grateful for what you have. For me it's just sad to hear those stories, but also very encouraging how they've moved on with their life and how they're trying to help other people, even though maybe they suffer the most. And it's not so easy to talk about. We always have the guard of honor for them, but especially after this visit for players like me from overseas who only kind of catch it on TV, or players who were too young to understand, I think it's good to touch ground on this hurtful topic. When they come out next on September 11th to watch our game, it'll give us extra motivation.